Hello everyone, welcome back to our weekly market analysis video with me, Frankie, your market analyst at Markets4U. In today's video, we'll be looking at the key economic events and data releases from September 17th to September 20th, 2024. I've already set up my screen to display the economic calendar from the traders room at Markets4U. I've set the dates from September 17th to September 20th, covering this week's important events in GMT. Please remember to adjust to your respective time zones. Let's dive into this week's events. On Tuesday, September 17th, the US will release its retail sales data for August, with expectations of 1% month-over-month growth, which could have a significant impact on the euro to US dollar pair. Additionally, Canadian inflation data for August will be in focus, with markets expecting steady inflation growth, likely influencing the US dollar to Canadian dollar pair. Later in the day, the US will release industrial production numbers for August, while Japan will publish its trade data, including machinery orders, impacting the US dollar to Japanese yen pair. On Wednesday, September 18th, the UK will release its inflation data for August, with a slight increase expected in the year-over-year numbers. This will be key for traders watching the pound sterling to US dollar pair. Across the Atlantic, the US Federal Reserve will announce its interest rate decision, which is expected to cut rate to 5.25%. This is likely to drive volatility in both the euro to US dollar and US dollar to Japanese yen pairs. Later, the Fed will hold a press conference to discuss the rate decision. Finally, in New Zealand, GDP growth data for Q2 will be released, which could move the NZD/USD pair. On Thursday, September 19th, Australia will release its unemployment and employment change data for August, expected to show steady unemployment but a significant rise in full-time jobs, impacting the Australian dollar to US dollar pair. The Bank of England will also announce its interest rate decision, expected to remain at 5%, with potential volatility in the pound sterling to US dollar pair. In the US, we will get the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index and initial jobless claims, which could move the euro to US dollar pair. Japan will also release its inflation data for August, which could influence the US dollar to Japanese yen pair. Finally, on Friday, September 20th, Japan will announce its interest rate decision, with the Bank of Japan expected to hold rates steady at 0.25%, affecting the US dollar to Japanese yen pair. The UK will release its retail sales data for August, which could cause some movement in the pound sterling to US dollar pair. Additionally, Canada will publish its retail sales data for July, with expectations of a slight contraction, influencing the US dollar to Canadian dollar pair. Key events to watch this week include the Fed's interest rate decision on Wednesday, the Bank of England's rate decision on Thursday, and retail sales data from both the UK and Canada later in the week, together with Bank of Japan rate decision on Friday. Now, let's move to the charts for this week. Today, I'm going to discuss two pairs that will be most affected by this week's main events: pound sterling to US dollar and US dollar to Japanese yen. Various economic events, including interest rate decisions from the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, and the Fed, are expected to impact these pairs. Let's start with pound sterling to US dollar. On the weekly chart, pound sterling to US dollar has moved lower for the past 3 weeks. The candle pattern is showing a potential reversal, which is evident from Monday's chart pattern. The stochastic indicator is moving near the overbought area, suggesting that we may see more upward movement in the coming days. Switching to the daily chart, pound sterling to US dollar has been showing strong momentum, with the stochastic also pointing higher. This suggests that the pair might attempt to reach higher resistance levels this week. Key levels to watch are support at 1.3107 and 1.3009, and resistance at 1.3298 and 1.3406. If the price moves according to our analysis, we might see 100 pips or more this week. Now, let's move on to US dollar to Japanese yen. On the weekly chart, US dollar to Japanese yen has been moving lower, and the stochastic is approaching the oversold area, suggesting potential weakness ahead. Looking at the daily chart, US dollar to Japanese yen has shown a clear downward trend over the past few days, with the stochastic moving lower into oversold territory. This signals the possibility of further downward movement. Key levels to monitor are support at 137.51 and 135.23, and resistance at 143.89 and 146.37. If the price moves according to our analysis, we might see 200 pips or more this week. Please remember to manage your risk before entering any positions. That's it for this week's analysis. See you in the next analysis video.